Okay, episode 22, I think, of the Business Not As Usual podcast. We are here once again. I'm Vince. He's Mike. We are Vince and Mike. Michael, what's going on?
Hey-o. I think it is 22. I think you were right.
Something like that.
22.
It's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
It has been a wild ride through starting in the new year and then pandemic, keep hammering through. It's great to go back and listen to some of the topics, and as things evolve and things change, we talk about it. So it's a good history to have out there for us.
Yeah, and I think that this has already done more than I thought it was going to do, in that, there are a lot of people that, we have been described as better than Oprah. Which
who said that?
Somebody said that to me, that our show was better than Oprah. I think, not in terms of listenership, but in terms of
content,
the content.
Okay.
And so we just need more people to hear this. So if you're listening to this right now, please share the love of the Business Not As Usual podcast, which we normally do at the end, but I guess you're not getting to that point. So
I'm still flabbergasted by the Oprah thing. So I was going to say, you're better than 2/3 of the podcast or something, but to jump right to that is to go right there to the top.
I
don't know.
And I've had folks tell me that we are their we keep them company on their morning walk, listening to us. So heady praise. I'm taking it.
I'll take that.
I'll take it all day. But it's we've listened to some other podcasts, and this is not to dump on other podcasts. We're just having fun doing this. And
yes.
And I think that
through.
I hope that comes through.
The amount of times we laugh to an episode. I know it's hard for everyone to understand this, but no experience. We didn't go to school for public broadcasting. I know that's a shock and surprise to everybody. But
so I think this is important context, because we actually, we have fun doing this. We have fun talking about transformation and business, operations, and just, being better. But I think, it allows us, we do it in a humorous way, and it allows us to talk about pretty serious topics. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today, or the topic of today, is the idea of transformation in government, and the need for governments to transform. And this is a topic that is near and dear to both of us, but I think you're a lot more invested than I am. So maybe, do you want to set the stage for us there, Michael?
So I think when we talk about government transformation, we have had a system of government that was really based on traditional. It was built a long time ago. Let's say that it wasn't built for a 2020 world. So, and we've talked about this before. Having capital cities and representatives to go sit in said capital cities to discuss things was built at a time when people rode horses, and it was hard to get. And it was hard to. There were no platforms for people to have discussion like we do now.
Right.
And so we would have people elected to go and discuss these things and dig into them. And then as an extension of that, services, and that's where we're really going to talk about how government delivers services, is really based on kind of that government 1.0. So you need something, Vince, what do? You have to fill out a form.
I have to fill out a form.
Right? Or you have to call, but it's always, we pay taxes, but a lot of government services are there's no exchange of money, but there is an exchange of constant information. So if you want something, the government uses forms like a way of currency. You need something, there's a form for that. You got to do this form. And now some of them may have gone online, but it's still the same thought. It's a form. It's one thing at a time. And I know this is hard to believe, but people don't organize themselves around government structure. I know that's a shock.
What?
And I know it's a shock for government agencies and the government is supposed to organize itself around the lives of people, not the other way around. And so people must be going like, what's this guy talking about? So the government, right? I have to renew my license and my health card, and I have to do that separately. Michael Martino, I need to do this. I send the information, then I start the next transaction. It's all going to the government, air quotes. It's all like I'm sending my information there. Someone needs to figure it out. And I know there's different levels of government. The citizens don't care. We don't care that there's different levels of government. The government needs to organize itself around the lives of people and life events. And that's what we're talking about, government transformation. So we now have the ability through the internets and building platforms for people to give information, and then the government to organize itself so it could then take that information and do something with it to create better services for people. That's what we're talking about right now.
Right. And as you were talking about, as you were speaking, I was thinking of a couple things. But probably the most relevant is the last time I needed to do something where I had to actually physically go to a government office to get to accomplish something.
Right.
And so, and this is in the time, BC, before COVID, but fairly recently I had to renew my driver's license. I needed to get a new picture for my driver's license. And I needed to get a new picture and renew my health card in the province of Ontario. All of these things happen at a single location, where in Ontario we have the Service Ontario little mall, strip malls, but just like small little places, little office. I won't bore you with the details of, me taking a picture and whatever, but those things were 4 separate transactions.
That's what I'm talking about, Vin.
So instead of taking one picture and then having that be both my license and my health card, I had to take 2 pictures, and then I had to process the payment.
You physically went, because you needed your picture. That was
I needed my picture.
I did mine online.
Right.
See, I did mine online.
I needed my picture, so I physically went.
Right.
I had to, right? But then I had 4 separate transactions. I had the license for me, the health card for me, and then the renewal of my car insurance for my car and for my wife's car. 4 separate times I had to insert my visa, put in the details, take it out, set up the new transaction, and I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, can't I just do this as one single transaction? And I actually asked that, and they said, no, it's going to different places. I thought, but as a customer, as a citizen of the province, I don't care what you guys do with the money that I'm giving you. I'm paying you. You figure out how to route it. I don't care. Right. And I think that's where you want to go today.
Right. So taking that customer journey, let's blow that out to the inefficiency that is caused on the back end. So
yes,
each agency builds their own full stack to do that transaction. So they all have to get separately their own payment system. So they probably have different vendors for the payment. They all have to build their own forms, their own online services. Everything is one full thing. So so think of, if you're in the States, your local government, then state government. They all have they're all like one. They're all little companies that have to have an end to end to deliver what Vince
Right.
just said.
Right.
As opposed to, because it's going to different places. I don't care where it's going.
I don't care.
And they asked the same question. So probably Vince, they said, show me your ID.
Mm-hmm.
And then where do you live, address, and on the form, all that same information that you fill out for your license, you then have to refill that information for your health. But I just gave you, but that's going to the Ministry of Health, not Ministry of Transportation. So if you take a place like Estonia that has the ask me once, that transaction would have been, you logged into a place that they know you. They know it's Vince because you logged in with the credentials. You probably upload your picture if you need to.
Or turn on my webcam.
Or turn on your webcam.
And they can snap a pic,
right?
Whatever.
And then you'd probably pay once. And you wouldn't have to give your information because you logged in. So they already know who you are. Right. So all that stuff is, all you would do is probably click and then pay, and then you'd be done. As opposed to them going, who are you? From the letter, well, you were the one who sent me the letter to ask me to do this stuff for you. And so that's what I'm saying about forms or currency here in North America.
Yes.
Here's a form. You have to do something. Before I do anything, you got to pay me with your form.
Yes.
And so wouldn't it be better if we had the government stacked in a way that they're all separate, but all that information flowed into one area and then back out to citizens, and then citizens back into that one area, and then out to the different people that needed to work on it. Because you need to have different people working on it, but it's all citizen information. So why does every agency own that information? It's all government information. It's all public information.
But yes, they're all separate, but that's not my problem. Right.
Correct.
We started this with looking at the inefficiency of doing this. They've through this process, they've actually pushed that inefficiency onto they've made it my problem.
Correct.
So I now have to deal with it. So I am doing, and by the way, this episode was not intended to just be a bitch session about, how government works.
It's just an example.
It's just an example. I'm just saying I'm not complaining, but this is an example. They've made me do the work where, I'm the one who had to fill in 4 separate forms.
Correct.
To take it in, to do what I needed to do to make their life easier. And I think that's a big challenge for government as well, because they should be they have an impetus to make our lives easier, not the other way around. They're here for us. We're not here for them. So I don't care that, yes, I get that there are that government is this massive, amorphous, monolithic thing, but I don't care. I just want to do what I need to do, and then they can figure out how to use the information that I'm providing to do whatever that they need to do.
And from a government service perspective, that's the transformation that we're talking about in this episode. How do you now turn this government 1.0 to a government that citizens expect, considering all the expectations they have from privately run companies, right? So what is that switch that says we all own our own thing to, if we were citizen-centric, what would that service look like from end to end, around, from all the way from, the birth of someone, you have to register, like here in, I'll talk about Ontario, someone is born, you got to register with the city, and then that information goes to the province, and then you got to get a social insurance number that goes federal. That's one event. I give you information, I throw it at you, and then you, the government, figure out how that works. And there's many ways for that to happen, but just the thought of that, the switch from this happens and this is what I need as an agency, as opposed to this is what the citizen needs to do, and how do we make it easier across the entire journey, as opposed to here's my little agency's part of the journey. What is that life event in terms of a full journey? and then work it out. And then each level of government works together to make sure that journey gets serviced properly and as effortlessly as possible.
Right. Because, I mean, the last thing I was thinking after my kid was born
was registering with the city.
I can't wait to go home and fill in a form. But
right.
You have like one, I forget what the timeline
you
is.
have like a week or something.
You have like a week to do it. Like, not what I want to do in my first week.
Especially if you're a first-time parent, you're already freaked out enough.
Exactly.
What I don't want to do is go down to City Hall in downtown Toronto to make sure this gets done within the week.
Correct. So, hey, I had a kid. Help a brother out. Like, help me out. Make my life easier.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I don't think enough governments recognize, because they are monopolistic. They don't have to compete. I mean, there's no driver to make my life easier, because, I mean, you get what you get and you don't get upset, or you can't get upset, because where am I going to, it's not like I can take my business elsewhere, which I think is a flawed view. And I know that you and I have a perspective on that. So I'll let you pick it up.
I think it's a flawed view, but I think the pressure of governments like Estonia and governments in the EU that are pushing that needle, and what citizens expect, because they get it in 99% of the other interact, like for any company, people spend 99% of their time on other people's websites, transactional services, dealing with services from other companies. So that becomes their bar, that becomes their watermark of what they expect.
Right.
And I don't think governments government services are no longer immune to that. And most of them know that they need to become citizen-centric. And so when people see that a place like Estonia or the UK have a digital identity, I know who you are, I log in and I have all my events in there, and it takes very little effort to update anything. People in Canada expect that. People in the US expect that. And so that is the switch. And the term right now is government as a platform. That's the hot term. Ooh. It's been around for a while, but it's starting to catch. It's starting to not get steam, but people are going towards it, because it is a way to say everyone owns this. Like, the government's not separate and they do work for you, right? Like, you're a citizen in Canada and you're expected to participate. Like, this is our country, and one of the ways to participate is to use the technology we have and as a platform, so you can go participate more, you can get better services, and the expansion of that is actually participating more in government. So not every 4 years just laying your vote, but being able to, with that change in philosophy and our ability now through technology to have a more say on bills that are going to be passed, or things that are going on, or have meetings and be able to have more access to your member of parliament, except for every 4 years. And so that is the extension of, moving from a government 1.0 to government 2.0. But to get there, at least every government agencies have access to your information, so your services can be done easily. So it's a one step to be more inclusive in government.
Right. So it almost feels like you are becoming a shareholder of the government, where you get to vote periodically on changes to laws, to practices, to whatever, but you are then required to be more engaged. So this is not we're going to make people's lives easier because they're not going to have anything to do. You actually have more to do, but your voice carries more weight, especially
you participate more.
You participate more. That's right.
what needs to be built is more of a participatory government,
Right.
as opposed to we sit and then vote, right?
Right.
So again, when we go back to the thought of what government was, it was to participate, but the distance of the land
Yes.
and technology, and we couldn't all go to Ottawa, and
Right.
there was no way for us to participate, to give our voice, to vote on like we can now.
Well,
Like
and that
you
was
and I can vote right now. In Estonia, they're doing online voting. So with the platform, you can have more participation in your country.
Mhm.
That
Well,
is the
and
transformation that we're talking about.
and that was the whole concept behind that representative democracy, right? Representative government is that, 1,000 people pick one person to represent them.
Right.
But, what that didn't, I think that's a very sort of Pollyanna view of government, in that, people this might shock you. Some politicians will say whatever they need to say to be elected.
Really?
And yeah, I mean, I know they're few and far between, but it happens.
Yeah.
And then what is the recourse to stop them?
You have to wait 4 years to vote.
You have to wait 4 years, right? But
in the first 6 months of this year,
a lot of damage can happen in 4 years. A lot of damage can happen in 4 years. Just saying. So, what is the recourse? And there isn't one. So by increasing the participation of the citizenry, you actually negate the need for that representative voice. You don't need a person to speak for you.
Correct.
You can speak for you.
Yes.
If you so choose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And you have the ability to see all the information that they see, so you can make an informed decision on the laws that have to happen. Now, everybody's probably like, how's that going to happen? Like, I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow. Like, this is a long tail of a turn from, government 1.0 to government 2.0. Maybe we should start with maybe just have all the information so every agency can see it, and then those services get better. But as that platform becomes more mature, these are the things that, start to move us from, a government that was built in the 1800s here in Canada and the US to, right, or 1700s to we're in 2020 right now. You can't tell me it was the same. And so you need to be switching. That needs to progress the same way everything else has progressed.
Right. I agree. Time to change. Now here's the problem that I see, though. There is so much invested in the current system.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. The political will that would be required to change this current setup is Herculean. It is massive. It's not to say don't do it. It is possible to do. But it is true. Of all the things we've ever spoken about, this is the biggest truly transformative factor, because it's so monolithic and so massive that and there are so many people invested in the status quo. The need to change would have to be dramatic. And I think when it comes to services, we're there, but I think we might be a little bit further off from the idea of representation in government.
For sure.
So maybe we're just years ahead. We're light years ahead of our time, right?
But all the things that we've talked about previously about iterating, you have to do everything at once, small changes. If we went back to as we've always talked about, a business transformation. So let's equate business transformation right now to government transformation.
Government is the business. If
we went back to that and said, how do we take the spaghetti that is out there of everyone having their own way of doing services and supporting citizens to how about if we just created the journey for citizens and then plugged in the agencies where they needed to be along the continuum,
Right.
but then had one way of delivery. Not everyone had their own payment system. Not everyone had their own online services. It would be one online service where people plug in, and you and I would just go, here's my information. We're citizens here. You know who I am. You have some sort of identity. And then I can see all the stuff that I've done. Like I should be able to see that I've renewed my license 15 times. And I can just press like last time. Or how we have to renew our stickers like last time. Like just one click like Amazon, right? Like Amazon knows every book we don't even have to check out the book. The one we searched on, like you search for this, you want that one too?
Yes.
That is what people are expecting when you're not happy about that.
I'm not happy about that.
I don't know. You're like giving me this look. Yeah, I know they're doing that.
No. It happened to I mean, this is totally random here.
You're like, I don't know. I don't like that.
We're just coming out of Canada Day, just to timestamp this, and Crocs was having a site-wide sale. So I happened to look at the Crocs website last night, and then on my iPad, and then flipped over to my phone, and on Instagram, the first ad that came up, hey, Crocs is having a sale. Did you know? And so it's just it's funny that everybody knows everything about us already, and
except the government.
And I'm not I wasn't bothered by it. It was just like, huh. So yes, I did buy Crocs.
So do you see like shared information?
Yeah,
because we have to give this information, but we have to give it anyway. So why do we make it as hard as possible to get a sticker? Like that shouldn't be a 45-minute ordeal.
No.
I should log in, Michael Martino. You know my birthday's coming up. Do you want a sticker? Yes. You have all my information. You already have my payment information. Away we go. Health gets their money. Transportation gets their money.
Yeah.
Everybody else gets their, whoever the 900 other ministries get their money, and then away we go.
Right.
That is the transformation, at least from a service perspective. If we're talking about business not as usual, government not as usual, that would be the change that we need to get to.
Ooh. That's the title of the episode. Government not as usual.
As usual.
Can you imagine?
Could you imagine just logging in and could you imagine doing your taxes, Vince? Like, why do I have to download my information from here, the CRA in the States is IRS.
Yes.
So we have to, we buy a third-party product.
Yes.
Go to our government, take the information that's already there and move it to the cloud so I got to move it to somebody else so I can do my work. So then I can push it back to them.
Right. To confirm what they already knew.
So they already know they can just apply all the rules anyway, and then I just add exceptions. That would be the way to go.
Right.
Why am I transferring my information from what you already got? Apply the rules and say, are you missing anything that we don't have? Because you got all my banking info. Yeah. You got the stuff from my employer. The other stuff would be like stuff that, maybe you do on the side. What are the exceptions? Here they are. Fantastic. Yeah. Done.
Even the side stuff, like we're talking, you'd have to, if you were an honest person, this is the reporting of the cash money, homie. Because even the stuff that I do on the side is all, it's electronic. It goes into my bank. Like it's all, there are invoices. Everybody knows.
Well, they already have it. So again, that's not even the exception.
Right. That's what I mean. So
the only exceptions would be like maybe the charitable donations. Do they know about those? Well, yes, because
they do.
Receipt.
You get a receipt. Exactly. Like
so why am I transferring all that stuff so that I can give it back to them?
Okay.
Apply the damn rules.
So here's what I think has to happen out of this episode.
That's what I'm talking about. That's another great example.
This is what has to happen. The government of Canada somebody in the government of Canada needs to listen to this episode and then needs to hire us to come in and say,
doing that already, but it's
I'm just saying, we need to get in there and say, what the hell are you guys doing? And it's not just Canada. Everybody has the same problems. But like, what are you guys doing? You know, I mean, come on, man.
Come on, man. Why you gotta be like that?
I mean, so, and this is, I'm just thinking back to how we started this one. It's a very serious topic. We have fun, but we're gonna have, and now we sort of ended with, come on, man.
We ended with Monday Night Football. Come on. I wish we could show like highlights and then go, come on, man.
Well, we can.
Oh, we could have did that whole CRA process and then went, come on, man.
Oh, you mean that would be a fascinating,
right?
Fascinating study. Like, what? I gotta. Anyways, so to me, I think governments are I think they've done the hardest part, which is admitting that they need to change.
Yeah.
Right? Because that, just knowing sort of what we know about governments in Canada and in the US and around the world, they don't want to change. Change is hard. Change is scary. And so admitting that you need to change is good. And I think, we've seen a lot of progress in the last couple of years. Definitely in the province of Ontario, even at the national level, at the federal level. But now they've got to climb the next hill, which is, okay, great. You've said you want to make things better. Now you actually have to do it, because now you need to get past, the nice words, and you need to make it happen. And that's another, Herculean task. Because it's massive.
Yes, but although massive, Vince,
mm-hmm.
This is episode 22.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that have been listening to us, I hope you see the similarities, regardless of its private or public, regardless of its a large business in insurance or a government agency or a small business. And I hope you take this. It has nothing to do with the technology. I know we talked about technology, but that is the enabler when all the business stuff is done, when all the thinking about how we integrate from a business perspective, the customer journey, all that customer centric, all the stuff that we've talked about. It's not like it's not different. It's not different from going from a bank or an insurance company into a government agency. Mm-hmm. It's the same work, and the work is around the customer, around business process. It's around people and the technology. And once that is done, you can create a platform that enables the people part. So,
right.
And on top of that, we've talked about culture. I call it digital culture. All that culture about failing, putting stuff out there, circling around the customer and your employees. All those things hold true. Like, it's not different. And I hope people are seeing that. It's not different. The change is the same. The machine that it goes through is the same. It's the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you start with people and process and then let those drive to technology, and then let the technology support them, you will be better off.
Yes.
Like it will be your citizenry, your customers will notice, because the technology is cool, the technology is sexy, and that's why we object to the idea of a digital transformation, because it's not about the technology. It's not about IT. It's about people, and it's about the processes that allow and enable those people to be successful. Period. Full stop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Michael Martino drop. Yeah. I mean, I think that we could go on.
I think that's a good place to stop.
That's a good place, right.
I just hope everyone sees that common thread, regardless of all the things that we talked about.
Yeah. Well, in 22 episodes in, we've now probably talked for about 20 hours. If I'm hoping people are noticing that. I like to think that the people that frequent the show are above average in the intelligence area. and as a result, like, they get it, you know, and now we just need to get this message out there more, because the more we're talking about these types of subjects, the better off we're going to be in making the lives of people that much better. So, good place to end it. I think this was a fantastic 20-second episode.
It was. And that was 22 as opposed to 20 seconds.
Yes, 20-second. All right. So if you want to hear from me, you can go to vincentmarabelli.com, or for Michael Martino, Mikey,
michaelmartino.ca.
There you go. This has been the Business Not As Usual podcast with Vince and Mike. We will catch you in the next one.